So do you have friends or family or coworkers that have left the state of Illinois? I want to hear about it. 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And we've heard for year after year after year, it's like 8 years in a row of estimated outbound migration to other states, according to U.S. Census estimates. And then last year, we had the U.S. Census say that Illinois lost 18,000 people, one of 3 states to lose population. That led to Illinois losing a congressperson, and the new maps that were drawn obviously indicate that. So we've got that in reality, staring right in our face, what exactly is going on with population. But things changed a little bit last week, some arguing it's a big change, others saying not so much of a change. And that is U.S. Census survey estimates that came out last week saying that it may have undercount Illinois by nearly 2%. So Governor J.B. Pritzker heralding that as a sign that Democrats are doing good things and that the state's actually growing, while Republicans are saying that's not the case, and that's not what the census report says. And if you go to the census website, it does not indicate that Illinois has increased to 13 million people. It still has Illinois at about 12.6, 12.7 million people. So I want to hear from you. Do you have people who are leaving the state? Do you have friends and family that have left the state? 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hello?
You're on the air.
Yeah, I've had friends and family leave the state, but I was down in Tennessee about 3 weeks ago, and I ran into a bunch of Illinoisans, and, what's not, why wouldn't they move down there? The gas is cheaper, the roads are nice, no state income tax.
Property taxes alone, I'm sure, are something that they're finding savings on.
The gasoline down there was 60 cents cheaper, and their worst roads are better than our best. I hit the Paducah Bridge coming back into Illinois. First thing I did was hit a hole in the road. There's no crime. They moved to places where there's not a lot of crime. They just don't have to put up any of the political nonsense down there that we do in Illinois. And like I said, everything's cheaper.
Well, I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. Want to hear from you. Anecdotally, I guess, if you're seeing more people leave the state, if you've got friends and family or coworkers that are leaving the state. Again, 217-629-7970. I had a coworker. He lived in Illinois in the suburbs of Chicago. He ended up moving out to Arizona, and this was several years ago. And he said this new neighborhood that he moved into Arizona, all he sees is Illinois license plates. Again, these are just anecdotes, but when you look at the recent census information, it raises some questions as to what's going on with these population numbers. And we'll hear from a couple of the candidates who are vying to take on Governor J.B. Pritzker, and also from Governor J.B. Pritzker's official office and his political campaign, some quotes about recent population numbers and estimates and whatnot. But I want to hear from you at 217-629-7970. Do you have friends and family that have left Illinois? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning. I've had 4 friends move to Florida, but they say because of taxes, but the problem is they got down there, they bought a house, and they're required to have hurricane insurance, and it's $8,000-$9,000 a year.
Sure.
And so the amount of money coming out of their bank account is more down in Florida than it is up here.
Yeah, and there's going to be and there's going to be other added costs, like even in Missouri, they have property, like personal property taxes they have to pay every year on their vehicles, for instance.
And so they get you with, there's taxes are much cheaper down there. Yeah, but you've got other expenses.
Sure. Yeah.
That are higher, And I agree, people are leaving Illinois, but I'd love to live in Florida too. It's beautiful. It's sunny.
But it's not just
That's why I
Florida.
would move.
But listen, it's not just people moving to Florida. You've got jobs and manufacturers that are going to neighboring states. And that has a lot to do with the cost of property taxes for those businesses that have big footprints. That has a lot to do with the workers' comp costs that are higher in Illinois than our neighboring states. That has a lot
I used to live in Bloomington. And they moved a ton of people out of State Farm down to Texas and Arizona. Tons.
Yeah.
So I agree.
I appreciate the call. And listen, you're right to bring up that there's going to be other costs in other states. Every state has different things. Florida doesn't have an income tax, for instance. Tennessee doesn't have an income tax, for example. So you've got different things that may increase costs down there, but you don't have to pay for the amount of property tax, for instance. And then you get into other issues within Illinois, and we have the most units of local government. We have taxing bodies stacked up on top of taxing bodies. And I just saw a report out of Truth in Accounting, for instance. Just the city of Chicago alone has the highest taxpayer burden of like $135,000 per taxpayer just in Chicago because of all the layers of government that there are stacked on top. So stay tuned. I want to get more of your calls. Again, 217-629-7970. And you can also email bishoponair@gmail.com. But coming up next, we will hear from a couple of the candidates vying to take on Governor J.B. Pritzker in reaction to some of these population numbers from the U.S. Census. So stay tuned here on WMAY. I'm Greg Bishop at 7:17 on Springfield's Morning News. All right, back at it with your phone calls at 217-629-7970, talking about the politics of population. I'm Greg Bishop. It is Springfield's Morning News, 723. And why we talk about this is because, of course, it's an election year, and it's already been politicized. So, again, just some background. You've got last year, the U.S. Census, after like 8 years in a row, saying that Illinois has lost population by the tens of thousands, cumulative, like 480,000 or something like that. They came out and said that their actual count after the U.S. Census decennial count was Illinois lost 18,000 people. So that was last year. We based our maps off of that. We lost a congressperson. That's why you've got this heated race between, for instance, Mary Miller and Rodney Davis in the Republican primary for the 15th Congressional District. But last week, the U.S. Census came out with a new post-enumeration survey that indicates it undercounted Illinois by nearly 2% and found possible counting mistakes in 13 other states. So Governor J.B. Pritzker's office came out with a statement saying that that means the state grew above 13 million people for the first time in state history. The incumbent Democratic governor's reelection campaign used news of the survey to go after Republicans critical of the state's high taxes, unfriendly business environment that they say push jobs out of the state. Here's the quote: "Every single Republican running for governor has built a campaign on fraudulent claims, bad-mouthing Illinois, and must face the truth. Due to Governor Pritzker's strong leadership, Illinois has a positive financial outlook, an influx of residents, and for the first time in a long time is on the rise," according to campaign spokesperson Natalie Edelson. Now, the campaign again proclaims that Illinois has grown to an unprecedented 13 million. But look at the census website. That's not what it says. It has Illinois' population not at 13 million. It says Illinois' population is nearly 12.7 million. So this obviously last week, the news coming out from the U.S. Census sparked reaction from not just the governor, but also those looking to challenge him. Former State Senator Paul Schimpf said that the governor is providing some mischaracterizations and said that, quote, on Twitter, he says, not sure whether it's due to, what's that word, mendacity? Mendacity? There you go. Or confusion. Gotta look that word up. Not confusion, mendacity. But J.B. Pritzker is once again misleading the people of Illinois, and he says that the U.S. Census Bureau did not revise Illinois' population upward. That's not what the new report says. So we're now going to hear from a couple of the other Republican gubernatorial candidates, Darren Bailey and Mayor Irvin from Aurora, both talking about this issue in recent days. Here's the two of them going back and forth separately, talking about the new population numbers. And again, I want to hear from you at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number for you to chime in here live and local on WMAY.
Illinois has actually picked up 250,000 people in the last 10 years. Isn't that amazing? So now we have to even scratch our heads more and ask ourselves, why all the help wanted signs? Why is the state is even having trouble finding people to go to work? I'm going to tell you something. It's election year, and there are election year gimmicks out there. And do I trust government, even at the federal level, with this information? Absolutely not.
That sounds very strange to me, because when I go around the state, I'm hearing people and businesses say, that they're tired. They're tired of the taxes. They're tired of the crime. And they're talking about leaving. Folks are talking about leaving in droves and going to, our border states. That their population is growing so much faster than ours. They're talking about leaving because they're tired of crime and tired of corruption. So what I'm hearing as I drive around the state is people are sick and tired of what's going on and thinking about leaving and wanting to leave unless some change happens, and we're going to be those change agents in the state of Illinois.
So again, those are just a few of the comments that were made by State Senator Darren Bailey and Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin. But don't forget about Paul Schimpf's comments, clearly saying that the U.S. Census report last week does not revise the state's population upward. And these candidates are just 3 of 6. You've also got Jesse Sullivan, attorney Max Solomon, and businessman Gary Rabine in the mix. And some debates tonight for the Republican gubernatorial nomination process. 2 competing debates. And this is unfortunate because they're not all going to be on the same stage. You're actually going to have 3 on one stage and 3 on another stage. So at 6 o'clock, you're going to have NBC5 Chicago welcoming Richard Irvin, Paul Schimpf, and Max Solomon, while you've got WGN Chicago going to welcome Darren Bailey, Jesse Sullivan, and Gary Rabine. So 2 separate debates on the same night. What in the world? There is the potential of more debates before the June 28th primary, but early elections are underway. Early voting is underway. And in the state of Illinois, you can go and cast a ballot today. But we'll obviously be hearing a lot more about this. You're hearing the political advertisements on the airwaves, and at some point we're going to have to kind of talk about these political ads, and are they effective at all? Are the mailers you're getting, are the text messages you're getting effective at all? And you're getting hit from all sides here. Open up a mailbox and it's it's stuffed to the brim with glossy colored photos of faces superimposed on top of whatever it may be. So this is getting pretty interesting. And for those of you like me who following this stuff is your sports, hey, it's darn near Super Bowl time, and we've got 2 of them this year, not just the primary, but also the general midterm elections. A lot of moving pieces. Oh, boy, oh, boy. All right, it is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Thanks for hanging out at